people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that Colonel Motion...
It's Kermel Moten.
Kermel Moten will be facing Nikolai Buzolin on the undercard of Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal's boxing match, set to go down this Saturday on the 6th. What is noticeable is that, well, this is not a Mayweather promotion, and this is going down on DAZN and Fenmio as a pay-per-view.
Why isn't he fighting on Amazon Prime?
Is it that Amazon doesn't have enough dates to accommodate a young fighter that needs to fight often? You know, at the start of a boxer's career, that's actually when they fight the most. It's not uncommon for a fighter to fight as many as 5 or 6 times in the early stages of their career in developmental fights. Is it that the PBC on Amazon, they just don't got enough dates to do that?
It could be.
What else caught my attention is that Kermel Moten's mentor, Floyd Mayweather, his next fight, it's not on Amazon Prime either. It's on DAZN. His rematch with John Gotti III, that's going down south of the border in Mexico, featured on DAZN as a pay-per-view.
Is it?
I think it is, but that's not what has my attention. Once again, what has my attention is that Floyd Mayweather himself is not boxing on the Amazon Prime platform. His fight has landed on DAZN.
One can interpret the appearance of Floyd on this platform as standing apart from the PBC on Amazon Prime.
Yes, indeed. Because why isn't Kermel Moten boxing on Amazon Prime? Why isn't Floyd boxing on Amazon Prime? By my count, this will be Floyd's second appearance, his second exhibition match that has landed on the DAZN platform. The first, as I recall, was his exhibition against Deji, KSI's younger brother. I think that was a little over a year ago. That was the first time he boxed on the DAZN platform, I think it was, and this would be the second.
We know that Floyd's all about his money.
He's going to go wherever they have money for him, wherever the money is. And is it that the money isn't at Amazon Prime, that whatever the PBC's current arrangement with Amazon is,
There ain't no money.
Floyd's going to want a hefty guarantee for whatever he attaches his name to, and perhaps the PBC on Prime don't have the money,
The guaranteed cash to guarantee Floyd for whenever he makes an appearance in an exhibition match or otherwise. Thus, he's taken his business elsewhere. That in spite of his longtime partnership with Al Heyman, the PBC and Floyd, at this point in the juncture, almost seem to stand apart.
because you figure that if the exhibition were happening on Amazon, you could use that fight date to litter the undercard with PBC fighters that need a fight date on what is a high-profile show of sorts, a show where Floyd would be headlining, if you want to call this a high-profile show.
It's not. It's fucking garbage and you know it.
I just think it's telling that neither Kermel Moten or his mentor, Floyd Mayweather, are boxing on the Amazon Prime platform, and that as far as what PBC has going on Prime, it looks like they'll be lucky if they do 5 shows, a grand total of 5, maybe 6 shows, which is a far cry from the 12 to 14 they said they would do upon the inception of this deal.
So far, they've done Zoo versus Fundora, Canelo versus Munguia.
They had to share Canelo versus Munguia with DAZN. DAZN also distributed that pay-per-view. They've done Davis versus Martin. They're supposed to do a show in August.
And they might do Canelo Alvarez next fight in September.
If they do, that makes 5. Spence versus Fundora, that would make 6. A grand total of 6 shows.
Just 6.
That's down from about 19 shows last year, and 19 is down from the 36 shows they used to do back when they had both Fox and Showtime, giving them a budget. They're losing steam.
They are close to the end, and it makes me so hot and wet to see their collapse.
Cool your jets, hot stuff. Maybe they survive till the end of this year. Maybe they do. And some portion of the next one. But they can't carry on like this, on this kind of trajectory.
I would actually be surprised if they do last till the end of the year.
They're just kind of slugging along, doing their best to keep the lights on. But that Floyd isn't boxing on the Amazon Prime platform, it is telling. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Bam Rodriguez, he wants all the smoke, the sky is the limit for Bam. What became obvious this past Saturday is that boxing has developed a new marquee fighter in Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the repeat junior bantamweight champion who smiled through a knockdown and then made his veteran champion foe suffer with a devastating finishing body blow. 24-year-old Rodriguez's performance was so enlightening that it caused the mind to race. Can a junior bantamweight become a major draw? What will he do next?
Question is rooted in America's aversion towards watching the fighters at the lighter weights like flyweight and super flyweight.
Historically, Americans don't normally watch the fighters at the lighter weights. But in Bam Rodriguez there is genuine star power that may change that aversion. He has genuine star and stopping power irrespective of where he fights. He's made for television.
What is his ceiling? He has the mindset of a fighter. He wants all the smoke, ProBox TV analyst Chris Algieri said on Monday's episode of Deep Waters, which focused on Rodriguez's 7th round knockout of two-division champion Juan Francisco Estrada, 36, in Phoenix. This kid's going to be around for a long time. I'm closing my eyes and thinking about when Bam Rodriguez will be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, which will be in a couple of years. He's got the footwork, the defense, the chin, and the heart. He hits the head and the body.
I think about Bam's age, that he's only 24, but he's already a two-division champion. The likelihood that he could become this division's undisputed champion, because I believe that he can if he gets the fights.
His physical dimensions, his frame, and how much weight can he carry? Can he carry up to 118? Can he go as high as 122? And I think that he can. Suddenly, the idea that he might one day become the sport's #1 pound-for-pound fighter is a distinct possibility.
Yet for the depth of that praise, it has been problematic for lighter weight fighters to capture America's attention given the presence of the heavyweights and the impressive reigns, until recently, of those campaigning in the middleweight and welterweight divisions. But now San Antonio's former flyweight champion Rodriguez 20-0, 13 KOs, joins Japan's 122-pound undisputed champion Naoya Inoue in the top 5 of the mythical pound-for-pound rankings and finds an awaiting globe of opportunity stretching from Saudi Arabia to Japan to conquer and continue raising his profile.
Think about the stagnant middleweight division and what is the in many ways stagnant welterweight division, what were normally the glamour weights, at least historically. But think about where they are now, all the things that aren't happening, as well as at lightweight.
All the stuff that's not happening there.
That's what leaves the door open for a fighter like Bam to become a star. That, yeah, maybe Americans didn't normally watch super flyweight, but with all the stuff that's not going on at the other weights, it's entirely possible that he could grab their attention. He's done well, and he's 24. Bam is not interested in meaningless fights. That's always going to help the numbers. Eddie Hearn, Rodriguez's American promoter, told Boxing Scene after Saturday's bout, "What we're doing is consistently building the numbers with the crowds near 10,000 in Phoenix. We'll continue to build that. The atmosphere was incredible, and I think his stock will continue to grow. Yes, he's in the smaller weight class, but that's why I ask for the respect that he be included among the names of heavyweight champions Alexander Usyk and two-time undisputed champions Terence Crawford and Naoya Inoue. Rodriguez fits that mold."
This is just the beginning.
While Estrada is contractual empowered to request an immediate rematch with Rodriguez, and he said he would after the bout. Rodriguez wants to face the winner of this weekend's Kazuto Ioka Fernando Martinez Jr. bantamweight unification in Japan. Rodriguez said he would be pleased to venture to Japan, where 55,000 filled the Tokyo Dome in May to watch Inoue, and Hearn said he could foresee Saudi Arabia's Turki Al-Sheikh making a push to bring the dynamic young champion and recently promoted top 5 pound-for-pound resident to the oil-rich nation.
Algieri said he admires the purity of Rodriguez's push to collect the belts and then worry about the rest. One foot in front of the other, one body in front of the next. Right now, Bam is a train that doesn't see stop. Deep Waters analyst Paulie Malignaggi also likes the idea of the 115-pounder unifying belts instead of reaching up in weight to Chase Inouye, who is poised to move to featherweight, 126 pounds, next year. Unifying is a big deal to solidify his place among the elites in the sport, Malignaggi said. This kid is an unbelievable talent, an unbelievable fighter, and every time I watch him fight, I'm super impressed not only by his ability to win and beat the top guys, but by doing it while being fun. Algieri said as he inspected replays of Rodriguez's knockout of Estrada, he was struck by the textbook, video game-like diversity of his attack. Bam Rodriguez, thank you for showing up and doing what you do over and over, Algieri said.
So think about it. You have a stagnant middleweight division. In many ways, a stagnant welterweight and lightweight division. That's not saying there aren't talented fighters there. That's saying that those talented fighters oftentimes are not fighting each other.
Think about that. Think about how the heavyweight division doesn't have much American talent in it, that we don't populate this division in this era the way we used to in previous eras, and how Americans are generally xenophobic, that if a division doesn't have a bunch of Americans in it, Americans really aren't interested.
You know, that's a part of the reason that Floyd Mayweather was able to rise to popularity. In his time, his run was parallel to Vladimir Klitschko's. And we all know the Americans, they didn't like the Klitschko's.
Americans thought that they were both bland and boring, and you will notice that their focus during their reign was on Floyd, was on Manny, was on the lighter weights, not the heavyweights.
And like I said, think about today. The stagnant middleweight division, welterweight division, lightweight division.
I wouldn't call the heavyweight division stagnant. Fighters are fighting. It's just that many of them are not American. Thus, America's not focused on them. Think about all of that, and think about Bam, that he is based out of America. He's an American national of Mexican descent.
Best of both worlds.
He's a fan-friendly fighter that is not only skillful, but is also entertaining, and those two things are mutually exclusive.
For other fighters, they're mutually exclusive, but not for Bam. He's the best of both.
Current state at other weights, in tandem with his characteristics as a fighter, leave the door open for him to be a star, so long as he stays the course, stays on this trajectory, keeps fighting, keeps winning. Unify this division, because that's one thing the Four Kings didn't do.
Neither Chocolatito or Sorung Visai or Gallo Estrada or Carlos Cuadras ever became undisputed champions in their time, but Bam can in his.
The word is that so soon after his fight, he's already on a plane en route to Japan to scout the winner of Kazuto Ioka versus Fernando Martinez. That's in spite of all these talks of Gallo Estrada having a rematch clause and looking to activate it. He still hasn't.
I hope he doesn't. That was lopsided. I don't see a need for a rematch.
Bam has other things, other fighters, and other fights on his mind. Namely, unifying this division. Do for 115 what Naoya Inoue did for 118 and 122, and all of the attention that got him. That same course of action could get that attention for Bam.
For the super flyweight division.
I hope that's what's next for him. Unifications in the pursuit of the undisputed crown. Elsewhere in the world of boxing and men's heavyweight news, Jared Anderson joins forces with SugarHill Stewart ahead of Martin Bacoli. Showdown.
Heavyweight contender Jared Anderson has added SugarHill Stewart to his training team ahead of his August 3rd battle with Martin Bacol. It was reported last week that Anderson, 17-0, 15 KOs, had met with SugarHill, nephew of the great Emmanuel Stewart, and the coach of Tyson Fury, and it's now understood they started working together shortly thereafter. The bout with Bacol, who is ranked number 1 by the WBA, is part of the huge bill set for the BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, headed by Terence Crawford taking on Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds. The event is the brainchild of Saudi Arabia's Turki Al-Sheikh, chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, and the highly influential figure is believed to have recommended SugarHill to the 24-year-old.
I want to thank Jared Anderson for taking my advice and seeking out coach and trainer SugarHill Stewart to train him for his upcoming fight. Al-Sheikh said late Sunday on social media, Anderson from Toledo is ranked 4th by the WBO, 5th by the WBC and IBF, and 13th by the WBA, though he is set to test his credentials against an elite opponent. In his most noteworthy outings, he outpointed former IBF boss Charles Martin over 10 rounds, didn't look too good doing it, on July of last year, and most recently, he won via the same method against Riyad Merhi this past April. in lackluster fashion. Bokoli was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and is based with trainer Billy Nelson in Scotland. Will represent a sizable step up for Anderson. The 31-year-old has long claimed to have been avoided by the division's best and has victories over Sergey Kuzmin, Tony Ioka, Carlos Takam. Until this point, Jared Anderson had been trained by Derry Riley, who first taught Jared Anderson to box. Now he's with SugarHill Stewart under the recommendation of His Excellency, though I'm not sure how this is going to work out because I've noticed a disturbing trend amongst SugarHill Stewart's fighters. Whether you're talking about former champion Jelena Marjanovic or former champion Tyson Fury.
And remember that Lawrence Okolie was working with him. Remember that when Lawrence lost the WBO title, it was SugarHill Stewart in his corner.
Adding to the disturbing trend that I've been noticing amongst fighters that SugarHill Stewart trains. They're losing.
They've been losing.
And I have nothing against SugarHill Stewart, but I think SugarHill has been experiencing the same kind of funk that Derek James has been experiencing. Derek James, a lot of his fighters have been losing. Frank Martin.
Jermel Charlo. Errol Spence.
Ryan's one of his fighters, and he won his last fight, albeit controversially. Better still, I feel like SugarHill's stable is experiencing the same kind of funk that we've been seeing in Derek James's stable, and sometimes that happens.
Now SugarHill Stewart is training Jared Anderson, who seems to have a wavering commitment to the sport of boxing, several run-ins with the law, and trouble staying on track and staying the course, staying focused.
Under the counsel of His Excellency, he enlisted SugarHill Stewart's aid for what is his biggest challenge. A fight with Martin Bokoli, who's a bigger puncher, by and large a bigger puncher than anyone that Jared has fought so far, and a more experienced fighter, I would say, than most other guys that he's fought so far.
This is dangerous.
You're breaking in a new trainer for what is the most dangerous fight of your career against the biggest puncher that you've ever fought. Your grooming process seems to have consisted of undersized heavyweights that don't necessarily represent what you'd face in the upper echelon. Taller, longer fighters and bigger punchers, more durable guys. I don't know that Jared Anderson is going to make it through this.
He still pulls out of the pocket in straight lines because he's grown accustomed to facing fighters that are shorter than he is. Martin is taller.
You got peppered on your way out of the pocket by Charles Martin when you fought him, making that same mistake. Against Martin,
You can't make it.
you can't afford to. This fight between Jared Anderson and Martin Bokoli is the replacement for what was supposed to be the Zoo versus Virgil Ortiz fight. And this fight is just as intriguing as that one.
This may not go to distance.
Long gone are the days of singing SugarHill Stewart's praises for all his works with Tyson Fury.
Several years after his big win over Deontay Wilder in their second fight, that's what brought Sugar into the spotlight.
And I ain't got nothing against him, but like all things in boxing, there are too many knee-jerk reactions.
He's not a wizard.
I don't know with any certainty whether it helps or hurts Jared Anderson ahead of this fight that he's being trained by Sugar now. It's one of those things where we're gonna have to wait and see.
Because what I've been seeing is SugarHill Stewart's fighters have been losing. It's a trend.
Can Jared Anderson be the one that breaks it?